Boy, we had a rough one last night. Huge storm came through about 3:30, I think. Man, it was windy. Didn't get a lot of rain. I mean, it rained obviously, but I would imagine it rained real hard for a minute or two and then kind of died down. The well, it didn't get dirty, so that's good. And the chicken coop didn't get saturated soaked this time. We survived it. Man, it was windy. These trees, they always make me nervous. I keep thinking I want to cut down some of these trees right here. Half of me wants to cut it down because they're dangerous. The other half wants to keep them because they're pretty and they protect us from the sun during the summer. It's really cool in the house because of all these trees, but there are limbs that fall down quite frequently. I'll get them cut down someday, eventually. It's just, I'll have to hire someone to do it, and that's not gonna be cheap. So we survived the storm. Well, obviously I've been talking to you about trying to live a more self-sustaining lifestyle, chickens and producing your own food. Now I know everybody's talking about gardens, and that's fine. I just don't know how much food you can actually get from a garden. Now that I've actually started doing this and I'm trying to live self-sustaining, the meat products seem to keep us fuller longer than vegetables. Obviously vegetables go through you a lot faster than meat products do. It can take hours for meat to go through as it's digesting, and your body uses more of the meat than it does of vegetables. So I've been trying to convince you to, you know, eggs or chicken, rabbits, ducks, something. So this morning I watched a video of the news channel, and they were talking about the number of truck drivers that are quitting because of high gas prices. Now, we already had one huge reduction in truck driver workforce just recently because the baby boomers started retiring. So they didn't have enough people to replace them. Well, now what we're seeing is truck drivers are having to sell their trucks. These independent drivers, because they can't afford to fill their trucks up. It's costing, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 to fill their truck up. Well, if you work for a company, they can secure a loan or have some backing, some sort of financial backing, that they can fill the truck until they receive payment from the customer. But independent operators don't have that luxury. They work pretty much from paycheck to paycheck because, remember, they have a truck they have to pay for. And I don't know how much trucks are nowadays, but back in the 90s, I know they were well over $100,000. I bought for a company I worked for, I was in charge of purchasing a truck. It was not one of these tractor trailer trucks. It was just one of those box trucks, single axle box truck. And it was almost $80,000. That was, I don't know, 2010, somewhere around there. So they're expensive. So you figure you're a truck driver, you're gonna start your own business, you're gonna run around the country with your own truck, and you're paying these huge payments on a truck, and then you have a 100% increase on your fuel. It's got to be pretty tough. Now the other problem is here in Missouri, you may pay $5 a gallon, but then you get over to California, you're paying, I don't know, $10 a gallon. And then you send your invoice out to the customer. They take 30 days to pay. I know, I used to run my own company, and that was pretty standard. Companies will pay within 30 days. So you're out all that money until you get the payment. So they're quitting. And now the thing is I would say all the truck drivers that I know personally or met in my lifetime were independent truck drivers. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure my friend, when I was a kid, I think his dad was an independent driver. So these independent drivers just can't afford to do it. So they're selling their trucks and they're quitting. That means that nobody's shipping product. And one of the primary ways for product to move in this country is on truck. So what's going to happen? Well, I know the optimists in the country are going to say, well, that'll leave openings for these companies, these trucking companies, to go out and buy more trucks, and then they can hire these truck drivers that just sold the trucks. Maybe, but how long is that going to take? You know, you got to kind of fill in the voids as they come along, and things are happening so fast. I mean, we already had the shortage from the baby boomers. Now we got a shortage because the gas prices are so high. Now we already know that there's going to be food shortages. The president said so. The president said there's going to be food shortages in this country, and we're kind of seeing it. We see that egg shortages and chicken shortages because of the bird flu. Now, I know some people say that's manufactured. Well, that's fine, but that doesn't change the fact that we still don't have eggs or chickens. So just because you know the reason, or you know the conspiracy theory as to why there's a shortage, it doesn't stop the shortage. And I see that a lot in the comments section, that they feel vindicated that they know the reason why there's a problem, but there's still a problem. I got that when I was talking about my chickens. I was talking about the bird flu. I wanted to protect my chickens from the bird flu. And a lot of people say, oh, don't be silly. Why are you protecting it? Bird flu isn't real. It's not a real thing. Okay, that's fine. But if they see my chickens walking around out in the yard, the government, because the government can come in and check your chickens, and they test it and they say, oh, you got chickens that have bird flu, and then you have to kill your birds. So we've seen, I don't know, I think Iowa had to kill 30 million chickens. That's just one state alone. Now, in the last week, Carolyn has seen 2 chicken farms, chicken confinements with hundreds of thousands of chickens inside of them, burn up. And I've talked about this before. My conspiracy theory on that is it's better to get the insurance money from the confinement burning down than it is to have to slaughter all your chickens and start over from scratch. My assumption is these farmers may not be covered on insurance with the bird flu, but they probably are covered with fire protection. They know that their chickens are getting sick, or the government's coming by, so burn it and get the insurance money. I know that's illegal, but it's at least my theory, because it's happening too frequently. We keep hearing of food processing plants burning down. All this is starting to add up in my mind. Gas prices went up another 20 cents overnight here. So it went up from $4.39 to $4.59. Now, we were pretty well stuck. Well, the whole country was going up in price. We were pretty well stuck in the I'm going to call it 370 range. Most of this price increase, ever since it started happening, that's where we were stuck at. But it just keeps going up day after day after day around here. I'm getting to the point that I'm not going to run gas at all. The truck's full, it's just going to sit there. I'm not going to run it. The lawnmower, I'm only using every other week, maybe every 3rd week, depending on how long I can go without cutting grass. As soon as I start to see snakes in the yard, that's when I cut the grass. The generator now is running off propane, and the only thing then we have to worry about is chicken food. Well, we already have a plan on that. The Facebook groups are all talking about chicken food running out of stock. And I was struggling with that because we went to the store to look, and they had pallets of food. Wasn't even close to running out. Well, they started explaining it, that some states are running out sooner than other states, and it's just a matter of time before everybody runs out. And there's a couple of reasons that actually makes sense. Since so many people are getting chickens, the feed mills are starting to run out. People are getting chickens because they can't afford to buy eggs, or there's no chicken at the store. So they're raising their own. I guess this is partially my fault. I don't know. I'm being sarcastic. I don't have that many viewers. But I'm advertising, telling folks, hey, you better get chickens. So maybe people are listening. And as a result, there's more of a demand for chicken feed. I still think it's a safer bet to have chickens than to rely on the grocery store to have food. Because you can figure out ways to feed your chickens. I never thought of this. But somebody wrote today. Now, I'm not sure I would do this just to be doing it. But if it got too bad, and I haven't even told Carolyn this, you're the first to hear it. One of my subscribers said he fed his chickens dog food, 18% protein dog food. Well, I was going to argue with him, and I thought, wait a minute, no, this is a good idea. And I always try to think about the comments before I say anything. The problem with the dog food is it doesn't have calcium in it. But that's okay, because you can put calcium in it, and the calcium is not even that expensive. You can buy that at Orscheln's, 50-pound bag or 40-pound bag for 15 bucks, and you don't put much in. I was thinking, that's not a bad idea. They'll get the protein, they'll get still some of the minerals and things they need. Dog food isn't very healthy for dogs. I mean, I've always known that. It's got a lot of corn in it. I mean, a ton of corn. But chickens, it would be perfect for. Chickens need corn and they need all that stuff, whereas dogs don't need all that stuff. I got grass in the yard. People keep telling me let the chickens free range and let them trim up the grass and then they'll get the food they need. Well, you don't get all the nutrients out of the grass that you need for the chickens. You got to still provide them with some food. But I don't want to let them go because we have bald eagles around here. And I know we have 3 for sure. I showed you them one time before. And yesterday, one of them flew over. Had the chickens all scared to death. So if I let them out, they'll get swooped up one by those eagles. So no, I keep them pinned up, but I could give them grass. Now in the wintertime, that's going to be more difficult, but they'll eat all kinds of stuff. I can go buy straw, just regular straw. And they love the seeds out of straw. We put it in there with the little birds. They say you're supposed to use pine chips, but we've been using straw. Well, they'll eat all the little seeds and they won't eat any of their food that day because they've ate all the seeds. So straw, although a little bit more expensive, provides a good bedding, keeps the heat inside the chicken coop, and it's something to eat. So all these little things that we can do to think outside the box so we can feed our chickens. And as long as they're producing eggs and growing up and staying somewhat healthy, you're ahead of the curve. So the shortages are here. We've already seen the shortages. I mean, I see some YouTubers saying it's not as bad as it could be, and that's true. So recently I've been telling everybody to do this 30-day challenge. And believe it or not, I'm starting to get people to actually give me feedback, say, okay, yeah, I see the light now. We need to do this and that. So if you can take a look at that super thanks button down there, I'd really appreciate it. So I hope I can inspire you to take what's happening seriously so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.